Wakili, I have 2 questions for you. Now, if you're successful to become a judge, sometimes you may be accused of very many things. How would you handle the allegations of bias in your work?
Thank you very much, Commissioner. So, Commissioner, to begin with, is that looking at bias, the issue of bias can come in 3 different ways. So it will come in subject matter bias, it would come in relationship bias, and it would also come in pecuniary bias. So pecuniary bias would come in where you have a financial interest or a pecuniary interest in the matter. Relationship bias would be able to come in if I'm either known to the parties or the advocate representing the parties by relation. And then the last one will be on subject matter bias, which is a bias that could come in if I am known or I have an interest in the subject matter, subject of what I am deciding. Now, to be able to handle these issues is, of course, the first rule is disclosure. And first of all, have a conversation with myself on disclosure if I think that it will not warrant me recusal. But then secondly, if I know I have a pecuniary bias or a relationship bias and it calls for recusal, I'll be able to invoke Regulation 21 and recuse myself if it calls to that. For instance, if the advocate is a relative of mine, so that even if I know I will not be biased, but a reasonable, fair, and informed person will be able to impute that bias, I will then recuse. However, like I said earlier, I will then temper it with the duty to sit so that it's not every case. It has to be actual and proven. If it is a subject matter bias, then of course, definitely my lady is to recuse myself and to be able to say. If I find that the threshold is not as high as to call for my recusal, Commissioner, then at that point, I will disclose it. And I'll be able to disclose it to the parties and indicate that this is a matter that was dealt with when I was the county coordinator, for instance, in this county, whereas I did not handle it myself. I'd like you to know, and if anyone has any reservation, they'll be able to give it to me. But this is, of course, after introspection. If I do know that I am vested in a matter, I will recuse myself.
Okay. Do you foresee any challenges in this role that you're seeking? And if so, which ones? And how are you prepared to handle them?
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner, I'd say the first challenge that comes to mind, and I say it with tongue in cheek, is the first one that the Chief Justice calls on to us whenever we come for these interviews. It is to be a tractor and to be a hard worker and a person who works very hard. Commissioner, but I'll be able to very happily indicate that my record has indicated that I've always worked twice as hard. After my O-level, I was number 34 in the country and I was challenged to do better. So when the government called me to do law, I challenged myself to do 2 degrees at the same time. So I did law and finance. I actually finished in record time in finance and I was in the dean's list. I did 2 master's degrees. I hold 2 professional hats now. And that is to say that the first challenge, which is a lot of work, is something within my heart and something in my DNA. So it should not be a challenge to me personally.
Okay, any other challenge? If not, we can go with that one. I'm satisfied with your answer.
Yes, this is the challenge
Thank
that
you.
would come to mind.
Thank you, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Commissioner.